So there I was, reading the reviews for a video game long awaited by mortals, though I had, as a god, barely noticed. This game had been in development for 6 long years, which is long enough, I am told by reliable sources, for 3 successive waves of developers to throw their passions into it and then burn out in utter despair that the project might never be finished. Well, finished it was. At what blood cost, I could not say. And the reviews were glowing, although by no means perfect. So I set out from the relative comfort of my fortress in Red Mountain and walked down to the Gamestop in Aldroon to buy a copy. When I arrived after that long trek, the shopkeeper, a decent mer by all accounts, welcomed me inside and inquired what I might be interested in. I told him that I was looking for the latest blockbuster. You know, the one everyone is taking about these days, I forget the title. And it was only at that moment that I noticed something surprising, that there was no display in the window promoting it. Only the briefest of moments passed before the merchant's stance shifted, his face draining of its warmth, and in a tone that no more conveyed than undermined a studied indifference, he said to me, "Apologies, sir, we don't carry that game." "Well, how can that be?" I asked. "It came out just last week." "We've decided not to sell the game," came the practiced reply, "as it is harmful to children." I confess his comment piqued my ire, and so I could not help but coolly demur. "You routinely sell mass murder simulators like Grand Theft Silt Strider 5 to children. What's so different about this one? That game is Khajiit-phobic." He stated this with such clarity of conscience, such certainty, that I almost accepted his assertion at face value as true but irrelevant. But at this point I remembered that I am a god, not some prostrated mortal bound to the rules of socially progressive discourse, and that rejecting his premise was not only reasonable but obligatory. The game has several well-scripted Khajiit characters and even lets you play as a Khajiit. By Nern, they even won acclaim for getting the texture of Khajiit fur right, which no other game has satisfyingly done. How could it possibly be Khajiit-phobic? He did not miss a beat. The author funds several anti-Khajiit causes and has repeatedly put young Khajiit lives in danger by tweeting vicious comments about them. Wait, not the author of the game, but the author of a Colovian scroll that the game is based on. Are you seriously more concerned that the scroll's author is getting half a septum for each copy of the game you sell than that the mongrel dogs of the Empire run free in Morrowind? The shopkeeper could now see that there was no use trying to sell me anything, and perhaps he realized that being a god he hadn't one chance in 10,000 of defeating me in debate, so he abruptly retreated, allowing only, "I'm sorry, sir, we don't have any copies of that game." My ire had by now turned to rage, albeit impotent rage, and my throat choked at the preposterousness of the situation. I thought of pointing out that this very store had sold such moral titles as Manhunt and Bully, that it was owned by a faceless Cyrodiil corporation who cared not one whit for mer or cat people. I thought of pointing out to this insipid Ennoi that he was participating in a moral panic, which have never once improved the societal standing of any minority group. And yes, I thought of simply vaporizing the fool, for he certainly deserved it. But for reasons I cannot explain, my rage then subsided a little, and I realized that nothing I could do would put a disc in my hands. If this GameStop didn't have the game, then there wouldn't be a damn copy in all of Vardenfell. I would have to drag myself back to Dagoth Ur, the building, open Steam and start downloading it, which would doubtless take a week on our cursed mountain internet connection. And as this realization washed over me, all I could bring myself to ruefully say to the man was, "Is this how you honor the 6th house and the tribe unmourned?"